Nice to see you. And I would like to start with a traditional chant with inviting the devas and all the benevolent forces of the universe, to join us here for this gathering today and to witness our intention, to celebrate the earth and inspire each other to engage in this way. And I chant in the Pali language, which is the canonical language. Paritawa nametang sameta padanta avikita citta paritang banantu samantra cakravalesu adragachantu devata Sadammang munirachasa sunantu sakamokadang Sage kame charupe girisi karatate chantalike vimane Diperate chakame Taruvana gahane gehavatum hikete Bumma chayantu deva chalatala visame yakaganta panaga Didanta santike yang muni varavachanang sadavo me sunantu Buddha dasana kalo ayang padanta Dhamma savana kalo ayang batanta Sangha parirupasana kalo ayang batanta. Just can take a minute or so to drop in. And then sensing your body, the force of gravity, gently pulling us towards the earth, the ground underneath where we are sitting right now. And whatever you're feeling right now, and reality can't be reduced to words, but we can open to it. Spending a day together with so many people who are feeling called to connect with the earth, not just on Earth Day weekend, but as an evolutionary challenge, for our species now to open to that. And I've asked for people if they like to bring a photo of a child. If you have done that, you could just take that photo, put it on your lap. And that photo, reminds me of for whom I'm doing this work. Because, in the same way as we are standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, human and more than human, so future generations stand on our shoulders as well. And to just allow that to really sink in, not as a guilt trip or anything, but just as a matter of fact. If we belong to a rich, robust lineage, and obviously, our ancestors always knew what to do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here right now. Starting with the first stone tools 3.4 million years ago. First language, earliest language, 2.1 million years ago. Just allow that to sink in. This potential, which has been with our species in such deep time. It's not going to stop now because of modernity starting to crumble. So this deep time ancestral inheritance, if we are kind of consciously turning towards it and sensing into it, it gets more energized. And then we feel more supported and more inspired. Because it surely hasn't been an easy ride, for our archaic ancestors either. Why should it be different for us? So, drawing from the very depths of our being as a human being, and the word human, comes from humus, which means earth. So, human is simply translated means earthling. So that says it all in this very simple word, human, humus, humility, and humor. It all belongs together. And then also our Buddhist lineage, which is much younger than our human lineage, of course, just about 2,600 years old. But nevertheless, also a powerful support as we are turning towards the next evolutionary level of our maturation as a species. So, as the illusion of human exceptionalism starts to dissolve, we are not special, we are unique, but every other species is also unique. So, to being willing to relinquish that we are exempt from accountability, that's something we need to seriously reflect upon and metabolize and let go. And that's, what the Buddhist teaching is so good for, helping us to metabolize and let go into a bigger space. So our bodies, they really are earth bodies. They consist of the four elements: water, earth, fire, and air, and also space element. and consciousness element, 6 elements strictly speaking. And they have literally emerged out of the earth, through the mediation of our mothers. There's also species which don't procreate like that, but for us human beings, it's like that. So we have emerged out of the earth through the help of our mothers, splitting their bodies into two, literally speaking. And then, we live for some time, and then we die and we go back into the earth. And all of the elements constellate in different ways and emerge as other forms. And like that, it goes on and on it goes. So, to sense into that is the work we need to do now as a species, to really realign ourselves with the earth and her delicate web of life. And we have those meditation teachings, which are a great support for doing this work. And this is the most important work at threshold times like that. If we have to basically support that shifting consciousness, as James was mentioning, that's not something we can do from reading books or listening to lectures. That's a signposts, but then the work needs to be done in the body. The body needs to be rewired, by allowing this information to drop in, and then being conscious of all of the emotions, the thoughts, the sensations, everything which gets kicked off, as we are receiving this information, which is necessarily easy to hear. So not rejecting the feelings which come up. And if we can do that, with the help of the Buddhist teaching, then kind of we are composting our old selves. And that's what we need to do. Composting that which no longer works. And that is our generosity, which we can offer into the process. And once we are doing that, metabolizing, the digesting, the composting from that process, we will land more deeply in reality. And we're more deeply connected with the fact that these bodies are part of a living, intelligent earth, and they are in no way separate. Even, if we look at each other, it looks like, we are ending here at the skin, but you're eating, you're drinking, you're breathing, you're sweating, going to the bathroom. There's a constant exchange, constantly. I mean, if you don't breathe for 3 minutes, you're going to be dead. But this is something, until now, we haven't really paid attention to it because it wasn't necessary. But now it does become necessary because of the systems we have created, which are in overshoot. So we need to find a way, how we can inform ourselves about the reality of our existence, who we really are. And that's like an evolutionary trajectory, as we are maturing as a species, being a very young species actually, compared with most other species on this planet. We are very, very young and we are behaving like that. And we weren't really aware of it because of our, you know, overconfidence of youth, very overconfident, and not to say a little bit arrogant, really. And now we are kind of hitting the wall. And It's not because we have done anything wrong, but this is how evolution works. Things work for some time and then it gets really tight. We go through a bottleneck and then there's an opening again and then it gets tight again. And at the moment we are in such a bottleneck situation. And we need to be honest about that. We need to really take that in and also remember all of the supports we have. In particular, the Buddhist teaching, which gives us great toolbox, for working with all of the difficult emotions which get kicked up at times like this. Fear, anxiety, depression, negativity, or all of the different difficult emotions. We know how to work with them. So we are equipped, with what it takes to do the work. And of course, there is a hesitation in the beginning. We are hoping maybe it's not really true. Maybe we can really make America great again or something like that. But I think by now we all know it's not going to happen. So, to have to laugh about ourselves, the absurdity of where we got ourselves into with this kind of overconfidence and trusting, technology is going to fix everything. And even, we can maybe defeat death. We can upload our minds to some clouds and things like that. So really, falling out of that is something we can do together, with the help of the Buddha's teaching. And by coming here, it's kind of acknowledging we are at the end of a cul-de-sac, a dead-end road. We really need to turn around and we need to do things differently. But in order to really do things differently, we have to see ourselves differently. Because once we see ourselves differently, we see the world differently, and then it will become clear, what we can do. Each of us, with our different talents, our different skills, and so on and so forth, be different for everyone. So coming down to earth and seeing ourselves differently, that's the first step. And I think another important fact is, to realize that, the promises of modernity have never been really broken because they could never have been kept in the first place. We haven't been betrayed by anyone. We are not victims. We are just part of an evolutionary process which is called planet Earth. So allowing that to sink in, we don't need to blame anyone. Even some people are doing really crazy antics, to try to distract from the fact that the Earth is a closed system, almost completely closed system. Sometimes a little meteor, comes through the atmosphere and a little spaceship goes out. But otherwise, it's a closed system and it cannot support infinite growth. This is a non-brainer. So the absurdity of modernity, the absurdity of even believing that it would be possible to do this. And now suddenly, oh no, it's not working. It's the same, when we were little. We were believing all kinds of stories, and it was age appropriate. But then at one point we know that we have to be accountable if we want to grow up. Accountable, for what we extract, what we consume, and how we distract ourselves from what really matters at this time. And this, this willingness to laugh about ourselves. It's part of the path, I really think so. And as, also James was saying, joy. It's a different kind of joy, to really see that in the deepest heart, we are all good human beings. And I don't think there's anybody who is not seeking happiness, But the way we are seeking that happiness can be pretty confused. And we have this beautiful practice, to help us to um, adjust, adjust to something which is really realistic. And, laughing at ourselves, at our arrogance. And in that way, we start to begin to connect in a different way. And, letting go of the stories, which keeps us in a paradigm, which is no longer appropriate for these times. And, I like to share with you a bit of a guided meditation so we can have a direct personal experience of the fact, that this body and the body of the earth are one process. And by the fact, that we have these earth bodies, we have a direct line into the body of the earth, and we can participate in that intelligence by just listening and sensing into the aliveness of these bodies of ours. And in that way, we can allow ourselves to be changed. And that doesn't come, through the brain or through the thinking mind, but it comes through sensorial experience. And if we are rewired in that way, we become more and more capable of imagining worlds worth working for. Because at the moment we don't even know, what could work actually. In order to be able to imagine that, we have to be changed first. We have to be rewired in the sense that we allow that perception, that these bodies of ours and the body of the earth are one process. And this is a practice we need to do. We can't just, when I can say it to you and then you can read it in a book if you like, but that doesn't make a huge difference. You have to really experience it, And let's do that now. So being with is the medicine. So just, turning your awareness inside, allowing the breath to take you into the body. And sensing the hardness where the body meets the cushion, meets the chair. That direct experience of structure and hardness, that's earth element. So feeling into the direct experience of earth element, and you can also, feel it in your teeth. If you bite your teeth together, that hardness, this is a direct experience of earth element. And throughout the body, we can find it in the bones of the body, the fingernails, the toenails, the teeth. And I'm gonna guide us now in a little series of body scans, and you don't need to do anything special, just listening to what is being said and allowing your awareness to be guided by what is being said. So we're starting on the top of the head, sensing into the skull bones, hardness, bones, earth element. And then we're sweeping from the head over the jaw and the neck, hardness, bones, earth element. The shoulders, hardness, bones, earth element. Upper arms, hardness, bones, earth element. Lower arms, hardness, bones, earth element. Hands, hardness, bones, earth element. Then the torso with the rib cage and the spine, hardness, bones, earth element. The pelvis, hips, hardness, bones, earth element. The upper legs, hardness, bones, earth element. Lower legs, hardness, bones, earth element. And the feet, hardness, bones, earth element. This whole body is permeated by earth element. Earth element internally in the bones and earth element externally in the rocks and the mountains and the concrete of the cities is exactly the same earth element. Earth element is empty, empty of a self. And if we don't ingest earth element for 1 or 2 months, the body is going to collapse. It's in constant exchange with the biosphere of this planet. And in order for earth element to shape a form, it needs cohesion, and that's water element, which stands for wetness, fluidity, and cohesion. We can sense it in the mouth, but it's also throughout the whole body, the different liquids, blood, lymph, and other liquids. And we can sense it in the softness of the flesh of this body, made 75% of water element. And starting to sweep from the feet, flesh, water element. Then the legs, flesh, softness, fluidity, water element. The hips, flesh, water element. The torso with all of the organs inside, flesh, water element. The hands and the arms, flesh, water element. Shoulders and the neck, flesh, water element. The head, flesh, water element. This whole body is permeated by water element. Water element internally in the flesh, and water element externally, the rivers and lakes, the oceans, the rains, is exactly the same water element. Water element is empty, empty of self. And if we don't drink water element for about 5-6 days, the body is going to shut down. We never cut the umbilical cord towards the biosphere of this planet. And in order for a water element to make up the shape of a form, it needs to be of a certain temperature. If it's too hot, it evaporates. If it's too cold, it freezes. But that brings us to the fire element, which stands for temperature. You can sense it probably the warmth in your mouth or in the palms of your hands. And we can sense it on the skin, the surface of the skin. So you're going to sweep now from the top of the head, sweeping down to the neck, skin, fire element, feeling the temperature in the room, and then sweeping over the shoulders and arms and hands, skin, fire element, the torso and the hips, skin, fire element, and the legs and the feet, skin, fire element. This whole body is permeated by fire element. Fire element internally in the body, and fire element externally coming to us from the sun and also from the center of the planet is exactly the same fire element. Fire element is empty, empty of self. And these bodies can only exist in a certain temperature range, which can be extended a little bit by, heating, clothing, and housing. But just, experiencing the vulnerability of these bodies. Earth element, water element, fire element, and then the last one is wind element. And we can notice that breathing in and breathing out. Wind element stands for movement, expansion and contraction. pressure. And as we are breathing in, we are breathing in the oxygen which is produced by plankton and plant life. There were times when there was no oxygen on this planet. It has all been produced by those beings over deep time and enabled species like us to emerge. So seeing that web of life, the complexity is mind-boggling, really, truly amazing. And this is a recognition which now emerges into consciousness of our species so that we can continue to evolve. And we're a little bit behind other species because we're here so short only. We're just, maybe toddlers or adolescents which are now going into some kind of an initiation period. And this is, what evolution looks like. We are not exempt from doing the work. We can't, buy our way out of it through technology. It can be supportive and there have been very good things done, but it needs to be adjusted to what can be carried by this planet. And we can learn, to sense and feel and listen into what is being said without words. We can sense into it with the body. This aliveness, the vibrancy of these earth bodies, and allow ourselves to be rewired, allowing reality to rewire us. So that we can act in unison with the web of life rather than against it. And this is the evolutionary assignment which we have gotten now. And the more we turn towards it and use the support systems we already have, the Buddhist teaching, community, the easier it is. Do not wait any longer. There's nothing to wait for. Let's do it. Let's do it now. There might be still people who try to deny this. That's okay, they're gonna get it at one point. Just, want to slowly come to a closure by reading, I wouldn't call it a poem, but whatever it is, by Stephanie Casa. And she says, she calls it actually an earth prayer. We live by the sun, we feel by the moon, We move by the stars. We live in all things live in us. We eat from the earth, we drink from the rain, we breathe of the air. We live in all things live in us. We call to each other, we listen to each other. Our hearts deepen with love and compassion. We live in all things live in us. We depend on the trees and animals. We depend on the earth. Our minds open with wisdom and insight. We live in all things live in us. We dedicate our practice to others. We include all forms of life. We celebrate the joy of living, dying. We live in all things live in us. We are full of life. We are full of death. We are grateful for all beings and companions. We live in all things live in us. So, feeling the resonance of that earth prayer in the body or with the body, and holding the confusion and the ambiguity of this point in time, where we are starting to open to something new and moving with the rhythm of it and allowing the weight of it all to transform us, for the benefit of all sentient beings. So thank you, for your practice.